give tentative numbers, at least in revenue, just to give you an idea, but from an official report standpoint in adoption, we'll just be looking at September and October. So if you would look at the October financial summary, I'll be reading from that. And then, of course, if there's any questions from September, we can certainly look at that. But in the month of October, we had room receipts of $463,608.03, which is, I believe, our best month ever for the month of October, which is exciting to see and gives us a current fund balance in the general fund of $2,010,743.17. In our capital improvement fund, we have a current balance of $220,308.16. And then in the convention center debt fund, we have a positive balance of $350,358.16. So we'll have claims, I believe, in the general fund, in the debt fund today, and nothing in the capital improvement fund. And we certainly have enough funds in order to expend that in both areas now. And when we do get to claims, some of those will not go in until after the first of the year. So we'll be approving first quarter operating claims, which will be submitted in January. So we'll have collections in November and December coming in as well. From in November's will be October business, and then December's will be November business. So now we do have to have a little bit of a cushion because the winter months tend to slow down. So December, January, and even into February is sometimes a little slower. Some of our slower months in travel. So having a little cushion as we go into the end of the year certainly makes sense. But I think we're in great shape, in a far better statement than we were last year at this time, which is great to see. So as far as unofficially, the tax collections, which I think we have reported, you can correct me if I'm wrong, Marcia, but for November, the receipts on innkeeper's tax were $289,078, which is better than we had estimated. And there were several properties that missed the cutoff submission, which will be represented in December. So I would have to say that we should be in terrific shape. And probably run about 125% of what we had done in 2019. So collections have been terrific this year and much better than we had anticipated. And I know Mike and Talisha will probably talk about business volume, but from a financial standpoint, we're in very, very good shape. So any questions on the financial? For either September or October, or on revenue collections.
We might get to this later, but why was October so amazing? The best month ever.
Well, that was September
Excuse me.
business. So collections in October were from September business, and we did have more football games than usual in the month of September. So it tends to flip flop.
That rate.
Yeah,
I mean, we have been pushing so much rate. Just for an example, typical average rate for football games would be in the mid 300s. We hit 450, 500 for that parents weekend for our average rate, and weren't the best in the market at my specific property. So another one was higher than that, probably the graduate, but the rates that have been booked have just been astronomical.
Yeah, there's clearly a lot of demand, not just for hotels, but for events. And It's just been, it's not just the hotel. But additionally, what we've had is now we have a large collection of short-term rental
Right.
revenues as well.
Yeah.
That have increased that, but the calendar was very full in the month of September. I think the Labor Day weekend was well attended with the events wrapped around that. There's probably some others. Great there as well.
And is it accurate that I use freshman enrollment as broken records each of the last 5 years or something like that?
I know it's 5, but certainly
The last several.
last year was, or this year was a record.
So that just increases the amount of people coming to these parents' weekends too. So the hotels haven't grown, right? So that's pushing that price up
Yeah.
even higher. So it's been incredible.
A good question. Any other questions or comments on the financials? Good to be able to report this. 2 years ago, I hated this. Report. This year, I love it.
You did an amazing job steering us out. You were the right person at the right place.
It was not fun having those meetings. These meetings, great. Well, that being the case, if there are no other questions or comments, is there a motion to approve the financial statements that have been presented?
I will motion to approve.
Second,
Motion and a second. We'll take a roll call vote. Marcia?
Michael Campbell,
Yes.
Kirby Brown,
Yes, ma'am.
Peter Iverson.
yes,
Okay, the next order of business is really getting into 2023. So we have a couple of things there that we're gonna do some claims approval. So we did switch this up just a little bit, but the first resolution we have is we do transfer funds from the general fund into 2 other funds on a routine basis. So you can see that in the financial statement that we transfer. I think that's $43,000 monthly to provide for the ongoing convention center debt fund for our renovation that we did here several years ago, and then also the land purchases immediately adjacent to the convention center. So that we're proposing that at the same amount to add up to what would be contributing at the same level. That stayed relatively stable. And I think that certainly should fund that. And then to the capital improvement fund, also a contribution annually or monthly rather of $4,166.60, which is what we're doing now. We would propose to continue that as well too. So that being the case, we need to adopt the resolution to transfer from the general fund into those other 2 specific funds. So any questions or comments on that? We do this annually. Okay. Hearing those heads nodding, I would ask for a motion.
I will motion to approve.
Okay, a motion to approve the
second,
and a second. So Marcia, would you do a roll call vote and then we'll go ahead and sign.
Mike Campbell,
Yes.
Kirby Brown,
Yes, ma'am.
Pete Iverson.
yes.
Sure. Next thing we do, every 3 years, this comes up as well. We do a contract with Visit Bloomington to operate visitor center and marketing for Monroe County and do sales as well. So we do have a contract which was included in the packet. And then we'll have one for a second one for TVI for convention center operations, who we also contract with. Were there any questions on the renewal of the contract? It is the same as what we've done in the past. Change those dates. We used to do this annually. But we found that customers really appreciate some predictability, so we did extend that to a 3-year time frame. And so this would be the case.
That was my question. So both are 3-year term.
both are 3-year terms. And so if for any reason, there was a change in operating agreement with another body. I know there has been mention of a capital improvement board and approval by the county commissioners on that. If it was determined that the convention center operation would move to the capital improvement board, we would work with them to assume the terms on the contract.
I move to approve.
Second, and I have questions.
Yes,
Did county legal review this, or was there another legal legal group that reviewed this contract?
you remember?
I'm gonna, county reviewed it initially. And then when we do it, we just update.
Okay.
The terms based on the appropriated budget
Mhm.
from county council. And the term.
So you don't adjust any underlying language of the contract
I
other
don't
than the dollar
adjust
amount?
anything. I go through and.
Right.
Update the dates and the dollar amounts.
Right, so did talk with Jeff Cockrell
Excellent.
about this as well too, when we were looking at term changes and so forth like that. I know the county does one with DPI.
Yeah.
For a lengthened term as well too, and so we wanted to make sure that those were starting to come into alignment together, so
Excellent.
yes, they have had a chance. So,
I always ask. I get nervous
No, that's
whenever I vote
absolutely
on a
right.
contract.
Yeah.
And I always ask. Yeah.
That's certainly understandable and very prudent, so. Any other questions?
No further questions.
Okay, so that being the case, can we go ahead and see if there's a motion to approve the contract for Visit Bloomington for the next 3 operating years, 2023, 24, and 25.
I will motion.
Second.
Motion and a second. Marcia, could you move us to a roll call vote, please?
Mike Campbell,
Yes.
Herbie Brown,
Yes, ma'am.
Peter Iverson.
Yes. Yeah, 3 years.
You made it.
Thank you.
Must be doing a good job.
That's called motivation.
Yeah.
Okay, and then that being said, and similarly, there is a contract for convention center operations with DBI to operate the convention center for this body for the next 3 years. This covers 2023, 24, and 25. And as we said, if there's a different arrangement, we would certainly work with that body to assume that.
I move to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. Marcia, could you move us to a roll call vote?
Mike,
Yes.
Herbie,
Yes, ma'am.
Peter.
Yes.
Kind of reminds me of the old Bud Light.
Thank you.
Which one am I?
Thank you.
I'm Bud?
Yes,
Sounds like I'm
you
Bud.
I'm wise.
All right.
Finger wiser.
Yeah.
All right, that being the case, move to point 6, our claims approval. And the first claim we have before us today is operating expenses for the first quarter of 2023 for Visit Bloomington, now that we've signed the contract. In the amount of $447,557 for first quarter, and this would be submitted after the first of the year. So. Any questions or comments? Hearing those heads rattle, none. I would ask if there's a motion to approve this claim.
I'll move.
And is there a second?
Second.
Marcia, could you move us to a roll call vote? Please?
Mike,
Yes.
Herbie,
Yes, ma'am.
Peter.
Yes.
Alright. Second claim I have before me is for Marcia Roach for first quarter professional fees. For her work with this body in the amount of $147 and 50 cents. Questions or comments on this claim?
I have no questions.
Well deserved.
I will move.
Second.
Motion and a second. Marcia, could you move us to a roll call vote?
Mike,
Yes.
Kirby,
Yes, ma'am.
Peter,
Yes.
All right, the next claim we've got before us is for DBI. And now that we've approved those contracts for next year. To operate for convention center operations for the first quarter. In the amount of $91,142, which would be the quarterly claim. Questions or comments on this claim? Seeing and hearing none, is there a motion to approve the claim?
I move to approve.
I'll second.
Okay, motion in a second. Marshall, would you move us to a roll call vote?
Mike,
Yes.
Kirby,
Yes, ma'am.
Peter.
Yes. Can I ask a quick question before? we
Sure
go?
you can.
Does DBI, are they also experiencing robust growth? The same way that some of our hotels and things are doing, or is it, do you know?
Well, so we have DBI who does like canopy of lights and trick or treat and Fourth of July parade and special events for the public. And yes, it's gone crazy. Canopy of lights was standing room only trick or treat. We gave out 2,400 pieces of candy and, last year it was 1,200. Convention Center Management Company that DBI owns and the convention center had its largest event ever with the handmade market a couple of weekends ago. They moved to a 2-day event, used the whole building, had 100 vendors, had 7,000 attendees. That's by 3,000 people more than like our other largest event compared to that. So, early in the year, we were seeing increased number of events coming back and those dates holding pretty solid and not rescheduling. Now we're starting to see attendance at those events grow. Yeah, the National Guard was just here this week for 4 days, had 300 people. They hadn't had that training in 2 years. So that's the other thing that's happening is that people are coming back from events they haven't had for a while. So in planning those types of events, Mike and I were talking about that. It's like, oh,
Yeah.
don't forget this one little part, like canopy of
Right.
lights. I woke up at 3 a.m. and said, oh my God, I need 20 chairs for the brass band.
Yeah.
Always
Yeah.
before you kind of remembered those things. It was just pretty natural. So not having had an event for a while, you gotta kind of, sharpen that up. And then some events just start making a lot of sense now to hold, like Taste of Wilmington. It's really not making a lot of sense financially, participation wise, liability. I mean, I guess it's really liability. It's all weather related. It's such an expensive event to produce.
Yeah.
So I'm having a really hard time saying we ought to do that again.
Sure.
And, different things happen, like Grand Saloon and the handmade market is kind of, it's the next weekend. That Taste of Wilmington Art Fair out in the square used to be.
Mm.
And now the art fair on the,
Friday kind of impacts taste, the overall popularity of taste, I think.
maybe.
Mm.
And I thought about that, but then I'm thinking like, well, they're selling 600 items and we're selling 16,000.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's like 16,000 beers in a 7-hour period of time. And that's pretty
Just like
intense.
demand though. what I-
Demand is
goes.
very
Yeah.
strong. Yeah.
Yeah, and some of the events, not to point this out too much and too often, but it sounds 7,000 people through this building. I don't know how that works.
It was very crowded.
Yeah. And
It was,
and 300 people for 4 days in a conference here, that means that's all you do in the convention center
Yeah.
and in the whole thing. And
and
so
I
you're
will say.
add more capacity. And if it grows, we're in trouble.
Yeah, and I will say, so the National Guard didn't have all their details. They needed an additional room, so we set them up in here, which was the last room, but we had the photography exhibit, coming with photographers. There were what, 20 of them dropping off pieces of art in the operations center for the National Guard's emergency. They loved it. Everybody got along
Oh, yeah.
well. But this exhibit here is the photography club, and these are all done by cell phone.
Yeah.
And so it's pretty cool.
Wait, all of them?
Yeah,
Yeah, it's a cell phone exhibit.
yeah, yeah.
Perfect,
But-
another example, tonight, gallery walk tonight, most ever got 16 galleries involved, most ever. It just continues to grow. I
Yeah.
think 12 was the highest before, it's 16 tonight.
Right.
I have
December,
goosebumps.
December.
That's really exciting. I'm sorry to derail the agenda.
No, that's.
I asked one question and
Yeah.
You know,
It was-
so-
I know.
It's
It's exciting, right?
It's really exciting.
Yeah.
It is exciting. to
It
see.
is, and it's back if anybody asks, so, and it, but it's, a little you know, people have different expectations. So it's always about keeping things fresh.
Yeah, I'm kind of like.
But yes, Food Truck Friday probably does affect that,
Just all works
and,
together.
but it's more of. like, expensive event to put on. It's $180,000 event to produce, and if it rains, you're in big trouble.
It's a lot of risk.
It's a lot of
Yeah.
risk. Yeah,
Be great to have it inside. Oh, I went there again.
exactly. Yes.
Sorry to derail the conversation.
It's probably when it
Yeah.
comes back. Let's just say it right,
Yeah, I think probably.
yeah.
Okay, so moving on, the next thing, we're talking about all this great business. And sometimes we do incentives to bring all this great business. Look how that
What a
segue
segue.
worked out. Isn't that working out awesome?
Somebody
Great job for setting me up,
that
Pete.
broadcast minor. down
All that Zoom training.
All
right?
that Zoom training that happened during COVID, it's paying off now. But we have room rental incentive, which we pay out of the commissioner's expense, which would be out of the general fund. And the reason why we pay this is because we've already generated the revenue. And that's in the amount of $3,880. That description on that is on that page right after the claim, which covers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different groups, and those are based on different criteria. So, any questions on this claim? Or should we just high five somebody who brought all this stuff in, Gene, and then move for approval?
No questions, but it's wonderful to see collaboration with Indiana University here.
I moved to.
All right, awesome. So we have a motion to approve the claim. Is there a second?
Second,
Okay, Marcia, would you move us to a roll call?
Mike,
Yes.
Kirby,
Yes, ma'am.
Peter,
yes.
Motion passes. Last one is the loan payments. And hopefully we won't have to do too many more of these. And that's for the quarterly payment that'll be due at the end of this year, so that will come out of the finances in the month of December. So you'll see that as we're moving into next year, this claim is one that will already come out of that. So, and that's in the amount of $159,000, and that's a quarterly claim. Questions or comments?
None? I moved to.
Okay.
Second,
Motion in a second. Marcia, would you move us to a roll call vote, please?
Mike,
Yes.
Kirby,
Yes, ma'am.
Peter.
yes.
All right, I think that's all the claims before us today. And, you know, on the agenda, it has visit Bloomington there, but let's just shake it up and go with downtown Bloomington Inc. Because
Because Mike's ready. Look at it.
Mike's ready to go. We're gonna
Push it
let
off.
Felicia and Jean go. We're talking about some great stuff. Let's just let you keep going.
Okay, well,
All right.
okay, we will. So, couple other things. There's cookies over here from like 1870s Vienna. And they were brought by this morning by David Davenport, who used to be the chef at Bloomington Cooking School.
Yeah.
And he has just wrapped up. He brought by a copy of his book
Turned out good.
today, and it's the Kitchen Enabling Tool, and it's gonna shake up the whole literary world of
Great.
cookbooks.
Like the
It's
recipe is from the
almonds.
eighteen seventies?
Yes,
Or the cookie.
yeah, the cookie.
That's what you said, and I was like.
Like wine. It's like
No, I do.
a blind cookie age as well.
So, but he's created this kitchen enabling tool book. And it goes by every single little like food item or kitchen technique and gives you some, and it's, you can only buy it from the publisher now. A little bit later, it'll be at Morgenstern's and Book Corner, and he'll do but he used to be at the cooking school and is just a great partner, and he brought these cookies by, so. Then also, I also want to recognize May Cassidy with Cassidy Electrical Contractors. We named the Canopy of Lights in her honor. Obviously, her and her love of putting together that event made it even possible, but she was a huge supporter for the convention center, and anytime we had some really random electric request or requirement, she would send a team and figure it all out for us. And even her crews said, if we call, go. And so May Cassidy was amazing lady, and she'll live on with us forever. Then also, you know, you'd mentioned IU and partnerships, and IU does the Evergreen Swags and the Red Bows downtown every year. And so this county helps with the canopy of lights and city with the snowflakes. So the decor's there. But this year we did a pop-up art because we need more daytime holiday decor downtown to give a little more color. So we had two emerging artists who came up with some pop-up art, and they staffed it, but it's, you know, two 20-year-olds, and they were all about it, and they're gonna make some more colorful things to go around. So it was really, there's been some good stories the last like couple of weeks, and some sad stories. But yeah, that was one of the things I was gonna mention in the presentation. Definitely the group size is growing here. We're getting less requests for the hybrid. I haven't heard anything about that in a long time. So that's good also, but I just want to give a shout out, our amazing team. Jean Cal, who's our sales manager, keeps all those details, gets them up front. Lisa Lamarca, who's our event manager, who gets more of those details and adds a splash to it.
Mhm.
Pat, who's our facilities person, Joan, our controller, and Thomas Tickleman, who's our new front of house manager. If you get a chance, stop and say hi to him. He has owned that role. He does things with Constellation of Limited Playwrights, so it's a tie-in with downtown arts as well. Jack of all trades, so just they're phenomenal. And you know, Janet, our catering, and Marquise have been great partners as well. And so we're super happy about them, but we take safety very seriously and do our best to be in front of any type of issues. I don't know if you've all heard about the arts feasibility study that came out. The city published that, they did a lot of input on it, and have basically decided to go with the Waldron as a facility, but Constellation manage it. There was some talk of like creating a whole new performance facility. That talk's not happening now, just for performance. But then also they did a survey of facilities in town for artists to use, and said it's really what needs, we need to market it more and get better attendance at these. So with that, Constellation Stage has created a package for groups to buy tickets, so that if they have a conference in town, Jean can send that email to them so that they can see if their group would want to do that. So pretty excited about that. And then, you know, other space that they're looking for is a little rougher space for art, students, for maker spaces, you know, like very much like Artisan Alley. We've actually helped incentivize emerging artists with that facility. It's one of the ones that the convention center owns, and have kept it at a pretty reasonable price for them to expand, and it's full, it's very popular.
Yeah.
So the leases are down there are all renewed through 2024. Everybody's renewed, and they were happy to do so. We'll renew our catering contract for 2024 as well. Our management fee with the county that's tied in with the revenue generated at this building, we're increasing it by 5%. And we haven't increased it since 2014, but with, different like insurance rates.
Oh, yeah.
So if you see that come up, increasing that for the next year. So it'll probably be on their agenda. the next couple of Wednesdays, I think. But then Jean has our sales report. She's doing a fabulous job. There's some good names on that report. We're excited to have that.
That 5% increase is really just generated based on the revenue produced. It's not anything additional
Right,
from county
exactly.
funds.
Right. It's all the revenue.
It's all the
generated in
revenue
this
generated
building.
here. It's just
Yeah.
more of that going to manage.
Yeah, and it's kind of a tricky thing with State Board of Accounts, how you handle different funds, so that's why we have a contract with
Right, right.
CVC innkeepers. But then we have a contract with funds that are generated in a county
Right.
building.
Yeah, that
and
makes
so
sense.
That's why it goes through.
Yeah.
That direction.
Well, it's good to hear that we're maintaining that, and those steady increases are important.
Yeah, and we've been pretty conservative with it. I mean, CBI is not here to make a lot of money. We just want to cover our costs.
Yeah.
And it's been great. And, part of that management contract is that we can have our office here and, do both downtown stuff and convention center and provide information. So it's all worked out, I think.
Good.
Jean?
I'm coming up on my 6th anniversary here, and I think that this was probably the most exciting sales report that I ever got to do.
Awesome.
I couldn't believe it.
Got some good ones, too.
When I was updating this for Talisha, I thought, oh, this will just take a minute. And I was like, oh my gosh, I saw 17, there's 8 months worth of conferences on this list coming up. 17 total. 15 of them are definite. With signed contracts, there's only 2 that are still at the proposal stage. And then 6 of them are entirely new groups. Which I was, it's been a long time since we've seen that kind of a big burst in one quarterly report. So that was really super cool. What I want to say, the Kiwanis conference that's coming around in March. It's the 3rd one down on the list. That's actually for 2 days. I found out more about that right before this meeting started. And there is a group of the statewide board members that are going to be coming in for a pre-con. So probably a third of the group will be here all day Friday. They'll probably be in here Thursday night. And so potentially as many as 3 nights worth of hotel stays. Trying to see if there's anything else that really jumps out at me. I think that Indiana Association of School Psychologists, that's a new one. Which is also, that contract is out to them. I don't think I have that one signed and returned, but that group is another one where when I see these associations and their new associations, my mind goes back to that number of the 800 plus professional organizations in town, made up from every industry that you could possibly imagine. So we always like having them in there. It's really, we have a cybersecurity conference that's on the list here for October. It's the Security B-Sides Bloomington. And when that group came in, and this happens regularly, people are still really complimentary of this space. And, we think, oh, it's a historic building, and it's been, since 10 years now since we had much of an update decor wise inside. But it still looks great, and people are still really appreciative of it. And it's just so easy to get everyone here together so that we can tell any group about the full realm of support that they'll get, whether it's from Visit Bloomington or from Martin's, and the hotel representatives come in as well. It's fun.
Yeah.
Always good.
Okay.
All right.
And these
Awesome.
are big numbers, 400, 300,
I know.
200. These are big conferences.
Good.
And it
Group
depends
size.
on how they use the space too. Like the 400 one's probably only gonna use maybe the second floor.
Mhm.
but.
Well, that one's for first steps, so they will have breakout spaces downstairs as well.
Mhm.
Yeah. It's really interesting because sometimes there'll be a group that's as big as 300 and they are just using the second floor. And then sometimes there's a group of 150 and they want the whole building.
Mhm.
It just really depends on what the tracks are that they are encompassing, in their however many day event.
Yeah.
I mean, different kinds of specializing tracks they have to have.
I'm always amazed at the variety of the groups. That's the interesting part to me is that you have these like groups of people that come and they all have
Hmm.
their own personality and
Well-
little traits and stuff. It's pretty. Simple.
Oh, and the Indiana Native Plant Society, that's only a 1 day group that's here, but they do have people that come in from around the state who are here the night before, and then there's a lot of these people have Bloomington connections, so there are some who stay the night of the conference and into the weekend. We actually had a request from the not perfectly clear on this name, but it was like the Indiana Beekeepers Association, and they wanted that same weekend overlap. I didn't physically have enough room in the building to put both of the groups, and these guys have had a signed contract for about a year now. But I actually sent a note out and said, wouldn't it be great to have the Native Plant Society and the beekeeper?
Oh, yeah.
together?
Definitely.
Yeah,
Perfect.
I know it. That would have been absolutely fabulous.
Yeah.
I know so many people who are,
Could have been a cool sticker.
I
Yeah.
know, who are in both of those.
We get them, I'll
Specialties.
make a sticker.
There you go. Gauntlet down.
Beekeepers actually, has to have, because of their, bylaws, they have to have their conference at a certain time annually. And so there wasn't any flexibility on that date.
That's too bad.
So
Next time.
I want that to work out somehow. If we could just get them here a little earlier and maybe have some outdoor space as part of it, it would lighten up.
Bring some bees.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Bring your
Real
bees.
close to the bee line. The bees on the bee
We're
line.
gonna need
There's
to
all
sort the
kinds of
bees.
marketing stuff.
We would have gone just nuts with that.
Funny, the
Yeah.
documentation that they're emotional support. groups.
Yeah.
It's teams that move better.
It does.
This meeting almost over.
Yeah, this place would have been busy.
Well, that's cool to see. Any other questions or comments for DBI? Great job. Keep it up.
This is great. I can't wait to report this back to council.
All right, Mike, we
Um,
saved it for you. You're on. Bam.
I wanted to tell the story too. You're talking about like taste.
Hmm.
We were, if y'all remember, a few years ago, pre-pandemic, we worked with the Indiana Craft Brewers and do the beer fest out at Woolworth Mill. Had a couple thousand people attend that. Then when we come back in 23, and a couple months ago, they were here and we took them on some site visits to Woolery, to the airport, to the Switchyard Park. And, it's not gonna work. Again, we just don't have a venue. This is the place where we should be having that event, because it's secure and controlled and things like that. We just don't have a venue, but we can't do it at any of the others for various reasons. I mean, like Woolery doesn't even want them. They can make more money, off a wedding than that event, things like that. So again, we got a chance to host 3,000 people in an outdoor setting like that and get quite a bit of business off that. So we don't, we'll go back to the drawing board with that for a future venue. Hopefully one day we'll be able to do that here, that type of stuff. So just letting you know that, just again, as we deal with space issues. But Visit Bloomington report, we're in the midst of our winter marketing. Things are going really well. Again, just by the numbers. I'm not gonna do web numbers and things like that with you today. At our first meeting in 23, I'll present our community tourism report to you that'll have all that stuff in it. I'm not gonna lie. I'm just so swamped right now and understaffed. I don't even have time to tally the numbers. But they're there. I got them, but I'll tally them. But lots of great stuff going on. Anything we can do to boost December and January is what we're trying to do. I think the best thing we have going is some of our media stuff. Talisha and I were just on TV in Indianapolis earlier this week, again, talking about come on down for a little getaway and finish your Christmas shopping, stay over, go to a show, go to a game, those types of things. I was in Louisville yesterday doing it, Champaign next week. We just had an article published in the Saturday Evening Post from a writer that we hosted. Our golf influencer that we hosted a couple months ago just got his first video up in the first 24 hours that had 7,300 views.
Hmm.
Great, things like that. So again, our
Oh my-
travel media and that type of stuff just continues to, it's one of the best investments that we have. So excited about that. Our brand new graphic designer came in, hit the ground running. We just sent our 23 visitor guide off to the printer. It's kind of nerve-wracking working with a new printer and new, all kinds of new things there. We hope it comes back in English or whatever. I'm kidding. We've got our grant program. That's again, this is event marketing grant dollars. We reinstituted that for 23. We're doing it we're awarding those funds quarterly now to be more flexible with our partners. So again, we're not asking somebody who might be doing an event in fourth quarter of 23 to know right now exactly what they're doing. So for first quarter, we got 4 requests for funding for new events, which is exciting to us. I don't even know what they are yet, but Laura told me that we had 4 requests. The due date was last night. I don't know about y'all, but we've been dealing with sickness at the office, lots of people out and things like that, but have a new leisure tourism marketing manager, starts a week from Monday. He's here right now. He just signed a lease, again, from Bowling Green, Kentucky. We're excited about him. His name is Jordan Smith, and just tons of media experience. He's going to be great to hit the ground running. Made an offer on our digital content developer job to a person yesterday, and hoping to hear back from them by Monday on that. So hopefully we'll be fully staffed again towards the end of the year, or in early 23, which would be great. Just one thing I always like to talk about, because I'm just because it's so important with some numbers, conventions and sports leads. 37 again, Gene and the whole staff here at the convention center. We love working with them just like we do at the union and everywhere else. Sean Ballard is doing a fantastic job, generated 37 conference and convention leads this year versus 11 last year, 6 in 2020, but 36 in 2019. So we beat 2019 level already. Sports wise, we did 23 new leads this year for events. That's right in line with where we're normally at. I'm not worried about sports as much. We've got that going on. So again, looking forward to 2023 with everything being fully staffed and everybody in line. You will all be invited to I know Talisha has some planning stuff going on as well, but we're coming up on the end of our 20, 21, 22 3-year strategic plan. Obviously, it was completely destroyed by the pandemic as far as what we were doing, but it's been a good body of work during that time. So looking forward to, we will invite you to a strategic planning session to take place sometime in first quarter of 23. And obviously it'll be hard to get everybody there, but there'll be a digital component too, where you can get your input that way if for some reason you can't be there yet. But can't do that without everybody in this room's input and so many more people. We'll be looking for input from a couple hundred stakeholders over that process and have a new plan in place sometime second quarter. But it's not going to change drastically. I mean, we're doing what we're supposed to be doing. It's just more about making sure we're strategizing right about it. I will have our front door at the visitor center has been there for about 30 years and it's kind of rickety. I can stand outside when it's locked and just pull it real hard and it opens right up. In fact, a couple months ago we had and it's actually kind of hard to lock and make sure it's secure up there. So we're talking to a couple contractors about doing some things to improve that front door situation. So I'll probably have a capital expense sometime in first 2 quarters of 2023. That'll be a few $1,000s, but again, I think we just need to do something about that door.
Yeah, so that building was actually funded entirely through the innkeeper's tax. So we still keep up on that. It does fall within the line of a capital improvement. So I think that all that makes sense.
And I'll make sure I run it all by you and
Sure.
that kind of stuff. Just like in that contract, anything over $5,000 that we spend, you have to approve it in
Yeah.
advance. So for that. Okay, I won't take too much time. I've got a couple of, you got all this paper in front of you. And I won't talk
This
too much.
sticker,
Yeah, the sticker, this first one with the blue graphs and stuff. This is a new tool we have from a company called Zartico, and I'm not going to. I'm still figuring out how to use it, the best way to use it, but what it is that it's smartphone tracking. So if you have that tracking button turned on in your phone, this stuff, it's keeping track of you when you're in the market. Any phone that's in the market for more than 15 days, they throw it out. So students that might have a phone that's tied to Chicago, that gets thrown out.
Yeah.
And not counted. But again, this is a tool. It's not it's just a tool. I don't want to say it's an estimate. They're actually tracking it, but again, it's not the bottom line, everything that we're basing on.
you're just getting aggregate
Yeah,
data.
we're just data like everything else that we get, but some of the things on here you can talk about, I can talk about, you can see average visitor spending by day. This actually shows Bloomington and Monroe County. The blue, this is the second graph down. Shows Bloomington and Monroe County versus the rest of Zartico's clients. You can see we do fairly well in those. So I will use this tool for every meeting starting in 23. I'm going to figure out what you'd like to see me report and figure out. What's great is I can put dates in. So we could put in the dates for Taste of Bloomington or anything we wanted and track just that weekend, or for a football game or anything, things like that. So it's going to be great for that. But we can also drill down. We can click on even on some of these bars, like this top one that shows you that 99.8% of all visitor expenditures are generated in Bloomington for Monroe County. I can click on that, I can drill down on that, and it will show you where those people are coming from. And that's actually one of the graphs on here later that shows that Evansville was the number one, the top five DMAs visited. Evansville was number 1, Chicago 2, Louisville 3, Terre 4, and Indianapolis 5. And again, just by the way they classify it.
It'd be interesting to know, like 10 years ago before I-69, if Evansville was that.
It wasn't even on the radar.
It's so much easier to
So
get to
different.
Evansville right now and vice versa.
If you go to the graph that says, what are your visitors spending money on in your destination? So it's the top of page 2, and it shows food being number 1, 37%. I can click on that bar and it shows me that of that percentage, 51% of those are sit-down restaurants, 27% of those are grocery stores, and 19% of them are fast food.
Yeah.
So I was always thinking, wow, fast food is carrying that food
Yeah.
and beverage tax. So that's showing me that maybe not. That's what I thought.
That was
Well,
quite the
reference.
debate when that was getting
Yeah.
passed, was fast food and
Right.
So I want to get really tight with this and good with this before we start, sharing a lot more of this information publicly. I want to make sure I know what I'm talking about. I can.
I think that's great data.
Right, but it is great data, and you can see, like, if you look at the last page, it shows that the sample size of this particular report is 69. There were 69,000 phones that were tracked to show this data. And again, they did a report for me that shows that it's valid, the sample size is valid to at least, again, use as a tool to make predictions and things on in the future. But it's really, what I want to do in the future is have it live so that I can take you through it and click on stuff and show you things. Things like the average visitor spending by age and income up here. You can click on those and again, tell where those people are coming from and stuff like that. So it's a great tool.
So Mike, you obviously have a passion for this and you're very good at it, but I do wonder if the more data we're getting into, if it might make sense for somebody on your team or somebody else to spend some brain power on this, so we could see kind of how that's used better. Because it could certainly consume you, and the data is only as good as how much time you can pour into making it make sense. And I know I struggle with data input.
We struggle with that on the
And-
council a
and-
lot.
And so trying to make sense of that data, it might make sense as you're thinking about moving forward, as we think about this as a group moving forward. About what that data means and how that impacts the overall travel and tourism impact for the county. So maybe the county has an idea on that as well too. But certainly, I think you're certainly telling a great story with that. And it's certainly pointing to a lot of things. And I think there's certainly folks that, just like you said, it changes, the data will say, well, not in totally what you think, but this is what's really happening. And I think that could make us be more effective in how we market and what we market to, and how we approach certain things. So, yeah, just a thought.
Okay, thank you. I agree with that. I agree. And
Interesting.
an expert would be very helpful.
Or just somebody who could do some of that preliminary stuff so that you can. You and Talisha and others in this body can look at it just a little bit deeper. That's great. Thank you.
Thank you. And as we continue to use this, again, if there's some things that people particularly want to see, just ask me, I'm happy to share it and kind of figure that stuff out. So, thank you. The last thing I want to talk about is Mike and I have been talking. I know that with the revenues being as strong as they are, I did want to make an additional request for some funds that for a very important initiative that I think, again, is another weekday growth opportunity. I'm not wanting to do this to bring in more leisure visitors on weekends. It's just not at all what we're trying to do. But I have been working, as you know, and certainly Tlisha and Jean know, we started the Bloomington Music Expo a few years ago here at the convention center, and already from the beginning, that was a very crowded event. We actually this year, in fact, for 23, we're moving it to the Switchyard Park because the convention center was booked for that day, which was great. Again, able to do something else, and we'll try to make it work with the Switchyard. But I've also been working with, and Talisha mentioned Grand Falloon, which is Indiana University Arts and Humanities has created that event, and they've been doing it for a few years, but they moved it to downtown Bloomington over the summer, and it was huge and very impactful. Again, I can run Zardico reports on just that weekend and show some of those numbers. But we have been we had one meeting so far last month, and there were about 50 people there sitting around a table in the Waldron talking about a music, kind of this sticker that I gave you before. I don't have it either, but anymore. But Indiana or Bloomington, an Indiana music destination city. I think we have an opportunity. Just if you look at, on the second page of this outline that I did. I'm requesting $100,000 in funding from the CDC to create a music tourism destination strategy. Again, our current approved amount was 1.790 million. Goal would be to promote and help grow the quality of live music and the music industry in Bloomington, Monroe County, and create more awareness for Bloomington as a music destination. My primary goal would be to grow Sunday through Thursday live music events to attract visiting music fans to Bloomington and Monroe County. A vibrant music economy drives value for communities in several important ways. Job creation, economic growth, tourism development, artistic growth, and it strengthens a city's brand. What makes a good, this is what I want to say, what makes a good music destination? The presence of artists and musicians. Check, we got it. I mean, we already have that. They were at that table. I know them well, I've been working on a thriving music scene. Again, same thing, we've got that, it's growing here. Available spaces and places for music. It could be better, but we really do have some great venues here. Incredible programming and things that they're doing every night of the week. You can go out and see so many genres of music every night of the week in here. And obviously with the Jacob School, what's happening there sets the table for all of that. a receptive and engaged audience, again, check, I think we have that. Record labels and other music related businesses, again, we have that. We have the top independent record label in the world located in Bloomington, Indiana, in the Secret Group. It is the number one record label, independent record label in the world. Distribute more records than any other independent label. And they again are sitting right here wanting to work with us as well. So I've already got $50,000 in my budget earmarked for the Music Expo. I'm combining that with another event called the Cosmic Songwriter Festival, and we'll be doing that in May 18th, 19th, and 20th. Again, that's a Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and the Saturday the Music Expo will be at the Switchyard. But I'd like to request $100,000 to do a summer weekday music series. Is what I'm thinking of. I've spoken to Parks and Recreation about having it at the Switchyard Park. They're very interested in talking about that. Again, it would be a weeknight thing. I'm talking like maybe, yeah, just throwing this out there. The second Thursday of May, June, July, and August, 4 times. We spend $25,000 on each night. I mean, we get some really good entertainment to come in here that we can package and promote and try to, again, work with hotels, try to draw visitors during the week, something we can measure to use in that way. I don't look at this as a one-off thing. I think this is just the beginning of this larger group working together to grow all of this type of stuff. Again, trying to help our venues be able to attract better quality entertainment during the week, so we can start drawing visitors and that type of stuff. I even put some ROI and some economic impact there. Obviously the weekday visitation, I can do those numbers and estimate that, but I do want to say one, like I talked about before, the travel media stuff. If you look at what I got here, this fall getaway to Bloomington, Indiana, this resulted from us inviting a writer from Midwest Living to the Bloomington Music Expo. And she came, and then she ended up doing this feature article on music, on the Bloomington music scene that ran in Midwest Living. I mean, the value of this article alone is worth more than we've spent on all the music expos put together. So I think the value in that is incredible. Long-term growth as a music destination and quality of life for residents. I think, again, being able to offer these events probably free to residents. I mean, I'm not looking to charge admission. I think it'd be hard to charge admission at the Switchyard. I'd like to offer that free. And again, that's this group and the tourism industry giving back to the community, as well as doing our job of drawing visitors and that type of thing. So you don't have to answer me right now. I'm happy to.
Good, because we probably.
Yeah, I'm happy to. I can bring some stakeholders to a future meeting and talk further about it. Get very specific with what we want to do.
Well, I thank you for putting this together and bringing this to it. I think looking for new ways to continue to develop our community and also to incentivize tourism, economic impact related to tourism and hospitality is certainly within our charge.
Yeah.
And just as a point of reference, we are not a for-profit commission. So the monies we are bringing in, and we've really primed the pump, and I think we did it very well through and probably better than most communities through the COVID timeframe, and we're experiencing the benefits of that. Just as a point of reference, we're about 25% better than our best year prior to this year. So our best year was 2.8 million. We're going to come in at over $3.5 million in innkeeper's tax collection. So that $750,000 difference is not something which it's really our charge to just put in a bank account and do nothing with, but it's really designed to get back in and continue to grow economic impact in this community. So things like this I think are great. I think even as we're looking at potentially moving into our next agenda item, new business, I think we really have to think about what else do we do to help incentivize economic growth with the funds that we've been entrusted with continuing to invest in this community. So there may be other opportunities as well. In the budget, we did budget additional funds in the convention center expense line item next year for opportunities.
Yeah, we did.
So,
I just want to say too that, I just, it goes right in line with what we were talking about earlier, the art, it's part of the arts and just the expansion of the arts and the growth of all of this stuff. And again, I think it's great for, the arts community really went to bat for this facility and that food and beverage tax. And we've told them all along, we're gonna continue to promote and grow that because that's what makes Monroe County, Bloomington special. So I think this is all part of that working together. It sets us apart from the rest of the state in a lot of ways.
I was trying to remember everybody, the secretly Canadian conference that they have here, all the different
That was so.
people that attended and their name tags and, from obviously Facebook and Google and Spotify and then
Oh, it was fabulous.
40 more that I don't even know who they are, but
The catering
It
staff
was-
was absolutely thrilled because here are these people from all over the world, young adults, and they're asking our staff where to go for this and that, and I want to have this, I've heard you guys have this kind of food, different questions like that. They were just thrilled. It was just such a joy to have them here.
Yeah, I think that's just one example of the type of things we can do business travel wise. If we do, if we have the right facility here where we can do guitar shows and different things like that. I think that would work very well in here in Wilmington. So,
in addition to just a lot more conferences with overnight. rooms.
yes, of course.
yes. Enhancing our conferences with
Yeah, music related conferences.
Well, thanks. I look forward to the presentation, maybe at our next meeting
Mhm.
on something like this.
Okay.
And how much further you're going along with that, but I appreciate the sticker and certainly the report. Any other questions for Mike on the Visit Bloomington report?
Did you design the sticker?
I did not.
It's cool.
I will say, I have had some constituents reach out to me and say, what is there going on this weekend? Or what should I do next month? And your guides on your website for families or holidays, those are so valuable. Because, social media is diversifying. Like, people just aren't on Facebook anymore. It's really hard to just market to people in one social media app now. People all over the place, and to have that website we can just drive traffic to, that's so valuable. Yeah.
I've lived here 24 years. I was on the dining guide a few days, like 2 days ago, to try to find out who's open for Sunday brunch. That's the main thing. It's like the best collection of everything.
All right. Any other new business? Any other old business which we just want to beat to death a little bit?
I do want to mention, I think it deserves mentioning here that the commissioners created a CIB and the county council on Tuesday night unanimously, all 7 of us voted to support that. So you should see it on the county council or the city council's agenda coming up. It wasn't on their November 30th, of course, but they'll have another meeting soon. You'll see it there. We are in communication with those folks.
Great.
There's a lot of talk going on. So
Is that what they'll do as well? They'll just discuss whether they're going to support the commissioner's creation of the CIB and just go on record as we support this? Is that?
the way that it's established in statute is the commissioners are the ones who create that body. And so what we want to do is make sure that when we're creating the membership of that body, that we have buy-in from all 4 governmental entities, because we could just go it alone, but that wouldn't be very collaborative. So the city council will discuss it, take it up, and then of course, we'll see what the leadership of the city does. No one knows. You just kind of keeping our eyes moving forward. And there's a lot of conversation about that seventh member. You know, how do we, get that seventh member just right? So that's where the conversations are right now. But I think the commissioners wanted to keep that food and beverage tax, and so they moved forward with creating this body. And the county council fully supported them in that, so.
The legislative session kicks off like whatever, January 9th, I think.
That's
So
right.
we will be on top of that, that legislation that could sunset the food and beverage taxes, making sure everybody knows what's going on with that, because that's gonna be critical for. We gotta make progress with this situation in order to make sure they don't
That's exactly right.
mess with us.
That's exactly right. And hopefully with our quick action in the county council, you can point to that. And say, it wasn't even December yet before, we had two governing bodies saying we're moving forward.
Thank you.
Yes.
We're doing our best, and yeah, we'll just keep looking forward.
Okay, anything else? All right, go Hoosiers.
Yes, but we just.
All right,
Thank you, everyone.
meeting is adjourned.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays to you too.
Thank you, everyone.
Men's